Yo, what's up everybody, KingGBL here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be having a look at They Love Jai's amazing run to top 8 in the world of POLIWRATH in the Great League remix. This Pokemon is something that you don't really see in the Great League anymore. The nerf to counter has really affected this Pokemon's usage. You see that sometimes at high elos, people do lean on POLIWRATH a little bit because of its just typing basically. Its typing and moveset are still very good. However, POLIWRATH, it's kind of fallen off the face of the earth. You don't really see it too often. But Jai's brought it back, and he's brought it back strong. He went to top 8 in the world with this team. According to him, after his sets today, he should be placed in around top 5 on the global GBL leaderboards. That's an incredible achievement. Of course, if you guys know Jai, he is an Australian battler. He's very well known in the Show 6 communities. He finished second in Perth Regionals, and overall, he's just a top battler. Big thank you, Jai. Very much appreciate the battle submission, and a huge congratulations to you. Today, I want to have a little bit of a focus on POLIWRATH because I think it is quite unusual. Not a Pokemon that you see that often. You're seeing in matchups like this in the Great League remix, when you have Pokemon like Low Kicks, POLIWRATH just absolutely runs through them. And POLIWRATH's doing a lot of work into this team. We're going to go ahead and shield. We have a Whiscash in the back. We don't necessarily want to see that other thing. And the really surprising thing about this matchup here, and it always surprises me with Ninetales, you think of Ninetales as being a highly attack-weighted Pokemon. However, it is actually quite a decently bulky Pokemon if you're using the non-shadow form. So POLIWRATH actually able to win that CMP. Now we're putting all the hope and faith into the Whiscash. Because of course we've debuffed the opponent, we can take a Water Ball no problem here. Yeah, I think we can even take a second one if we need to. Jai does a perfect overform just before the opponent gets to the second move, and this should basically win the match for us. Low Kicks won't make a move at this point. We've done a perfect overform, we get off a Mud Bomb, which will be enough to knock it out, and that's good games well played. Whiscash is also another quite interesting Pokemon. Its energy generation got nerfed last season with Mudshot. However, Mudshot does more damage now, so you will see in certain cases, having the extra Mudshot damage is a little bit better. It means that you can potentially farm down Pokemon that you otherwise couldn't farm down before. This next battle is a very awkward one. Walrein's kind of awkward. Of course, POLIWRATH is a very hard answer to it. Jai calls the Icicle Spear, fantastic bait call right there. This is a losing matchup for Ninetales, so Jai just basically doing his best with it. Getting off a Psyshock, we get a shield off the opponent, we call the bait, and we're putting this in a very good position now. We can come in with POLIWRATH if the opponent allows us. They go for another Icicle Spear. The opponent just does not stop baiting here, which is understandable. You know, you would think 2 Icicle Spears should near enough knock out the Ninetales, but because the opponent's baited so much, and we actually snipe it with the POLIWRATH, that actually turned out very good for us. Now this is looking a little bit tricky. In comes Daddy Golurk. We do get off an Icy Wind. The counters are double resisted. Do we make it to a third move? He might even have to consider shielding twice here, or you could just put it all in Whiscash, which definitely makes sense as well. Yeah, Shadow Punch doesn't quite knock us out, unfortunately, meaning the opponent gets some extra energy. They might even get off 2 moves here. We'll have to have a look. The Golurk should be roughly into Mud Bomb range, especially because we're Shadow. We did debuff with the Icy Wind, so we probably could let this one go. I do understand that shield because they could have something in the back that can fast move pressure us. These Mud Slaps are adding up, so by the time you get a bit of energy and see what's in the back, you could be basically in range for a fast move beatdown. In comes their own Whiscash. 2 moves should just about knock this out. Unfortunately, we don't have any shields remaining, and I think we might have to go for a catch here. The opponent predicts it, unfortunately, and Jai immediately top lefts. That's unlucky. Good games well played. In the next one here, Guzzlord lead, fantastic. Tentacruel comes, or no, it's not Tentacruel, it's Quillfish, in fact. We come into Daddy Whiscash. This is a great matchup for us. We can easily take 2 Aqua Tails, I would assume here. Bang. In fairness, if we did take a second one, we would be getting kind of low. So we just get rid of it. I like this play right here. The opponent actually shields, which is quite interesting. It's not really a match you can shield in. They go for a CMP tie. We survive this move still. Jai decides to let it go. We're not really in danger of getting farmed down necessarily, unless the opponent just commits to like basically a 2-shield farm down. Jai decides to swap into the POLIWRATH at this point, because POLIWRATH and Ninetales are both answers to the Guzzlord. The opponent goes for a Sludge Wave. They come into Guzzy here just to basically sack it. We get off an Icy Wind. I'm assuming this is Dark Double Poison, so we might be in trouble here. The really good thing about Ninetales in this meta is you probably should be running it with Psyshock, right? A Psyshock hits like a truck. I think like 2 Psyshocks on the Toxapex gets it down to the deep red. Those moves at like a truck, of course, with the Shadow as well. In comes a Marowak, not really what I was anticipating there. I guess the opponent was fighting for alignment. They want the Marowak on the Ninetales. That just absolutely wrecked them. We anticipate the swap here. Ninetales, Quillfish counter confirmed, and by the looks of things, we're probably going to powder snow down the Marowak as well. That's good games well played. The opponent gets off a move here. Guys, don't you hate when the opponents do this, bro? The match is so over, like, we've got 3 Pokemon up. Like, come on, just stop. Please, just stop. Just quit the match. It's over. It's over. A good lead, fantastic lead in the next one here, and the opponent comes into Mawile. It's actually on Astonish, quite interestingly. You sort of have to check the fast move with this Pokemon now. because they could have Astonish, they could have Fairy Wind, they could have Fire Fang. You gotta be careful with this Pokemon, especially in the Halloween Cup. I've seen this picking up a little bit in the Halloween Cup. It's kind of crazy, dude. This Astonish plus Power Up Punch is kind of ripping for us here. So I think the opponent's just going to 2-shield farm us the whole way down, which kind of sucks. One counter should knock it out. I guess we just come in to sack the Ninetales at this point. Or, yeah, we just sack it. Power Up Punch, okay, that could have been an Iron Head. We come in, snipe with a Poliwrath. It's all up to 2-shield Poliwrath, and in comes Goodra once again. Because we're heading energy, we can actually, very smart by Jai to go for the extra there. The opponent does end up throwing an Aqua Tail here, which is kind of strange, and we're just going to go for the Icy Wind immediately. This won't knock it out, so that means we can just farm it the whole way down, and make sure not to get ourselves too low, right? The opponent immediately top left, so they must have had something kind of weak to Poliwrath, and that's good games well played. Poliwrath has put in some work so far, so that is cool to see. 4-1 on that set, and I believe this is the Legend set that Jai's sending me here. Bang, 3005 Elo. The battles we're reacting to today is the sets to Legend, and of course the sets thereafter. Magnezone, horrible lead. We come into Poliwrath, and the opponent comes into the Drifblim. Okay, is this doable? We go for a very nice overfarm, throwing good timing here against the Drifblim. They have to throw basically 6 Astonishes worth of energy. I guess they probably could just Icy Wind at this point, so you do just let it go. You might survive. Okay, the opponent does go for Shadow Ball. I think that is the smarter play. Do they have Mystical Fire? That's the question. It's Icy Wind. You know what? Mystical Fire, I feel like in these metas is kind of underrated. The opponent comes into Magnezone, and then they come into a Galarian Moltres. This looks completely over. Like, I don't really see like a huge win con here. Unless we start getting debuffs. Okay, we get a debuff. Can we start baiting the opponent or even get a second debuff? We decide to let this go here, which I think probably is the correct play. The opponent does not go for the Brave Bird. We're just retaining shields at this point. Maybe Ninetales up all of this energy and up shields could do something. We get off a last second Mud Bomb, the opponent goes for CMP tie, and I think they'll most likely come back into the Magnezone. The cringe in the zone, as I like to call it. We go for this move here in 1. The opponent will let them move through here, and this will get them quite low. We need to make it to 2 moves here. The opponent could try to go for Mirror Shot to debuff us. I think that probably would be the best play. But I guess they're just committing to fast move beatdowns at this point. This is going to be really close. The Moltres is super low. The Moltres is not going to make a move, and of course the opponent is committing to the farm down. Can we get it? We actually get it on 1 HP. Big shout out to Jai's IVs. I know he's got a very high rank Ninetales. GG's, man, that was a really good win. In the next one we have a Weezing. We are sort of ABA weak to this Pokemon. We build up to the Psyshock. The opponents always shield this move in my experience, so I think this is a good bait, but the opponent actually does let it go. That is kind of crazy. And we decide to let it go as well. The opponent goes for Brutal Swing, dude. I hate that, man. It's always such a bad feeling whenever you get baited with a resisted move. Jai said, not today, buddy. Not today. I'm not getting baited. This is kind of tricky. You would think their backline is weak to Poliwrath. They go for another Brutal Swing. The opponent comes into the Walrein. We come into the Poliwrath. As predicted, the opponent is weak to it. I think we do shield this, but I can see this being a bait. Oh, they actually do full send the Earthquake. I sort of half expected the bait there because it just makes sense in that case. Unfortunately, the opponent does make a last second Earthquake, but we've got so much energy here, and we've chipped the Weezing down so we can basically get off 2 moves on it. I would predict this team to be something like Weezing in the lead, which is resisting counter and fighting, and 2 Pokemon that are weak to fighting in the back. In comes Whiscash, so it's not quite weak to fighting, but it definitely is weak to Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a fantastic matchup in here. The opponent Mudshots us the whole way down, and then they come into the Weezing. We come into our own Whiscash. We decided to let the move go here, which is fair enough. The opponent's baited like every single time at this stage, so we just let it go. We're up a shield, and I think we should be basically fine. We go for the Mud Bomb here on a CMP tie. Thankfully we do win that one. Bang! That will get the opponent quite low. I think we can let this move go. We do have energy banked on the Ninetales. I think we have a Weller Ball banked. We come in, go for the snipe, and that's good games well played. If you have a look at the meta in this comp, in the Great League Remix, if you think about it right, there's a ton of Bastiodons, there's a ton of things like Carbink, a lot of Pokemon that are weak to ground, and some Pokemon that are weak to fighting. So it definitely makes sense using using Poliwrath. The opponent comes into a Leafeon, and they come into a Poliwrath of their own. So what we do is go for a Psyshock. I do like this play. I'm assuming we come into our own Poliwrath here at this point. The opponent takes the move, which is fantastic for us. We can come in, take 2 moves if we need to. They might be in Dynamic. Yeah, they are in Dynamic Punch. We should be able to complete the farm down, and it's kind of funny seeing Lady in here. This thing's in counter. We go for the Icy Wind immediately, get that debuff off, and I think we can definitely make a second move here. Ledian with counter is definitely... Is that Bug Bite? What's going on here? Is this not on counter? Okay, they go for the Ace, that knocks us out. We come into Ninetales, they come into Alomomola. They come into Alomomola, however you pronounce this Pokemon. Very, very interesting pick by the opponent. We get a shield, come into this. This thing is very, very slow to moves. It has Psychic. I know it has Psychic. I think it's Psychic and Hydro Pump. So 2 very expensive moves here. I think it's like 7 or 8 Waterfalls to the first move. This thing is not spammy whatsoever. No debuff on the Psychic, which is great. we can basically build up to pretty much back-to-back mud bombs. Very nice and funny pick by the opponent here. They're rocking the shiny Alola Mola. You know, one thing I've noticed about GBL is whenever you get around Legend Elo, you definitely notice that the players are a lot better, but you do see some more interesting and sort of spicier and more fun picks of that Elo. People have hit Legend, they want to use some interesting Pokemon, not just the hardcore meta all the time. So I have found that. I feel like if you guys are like me in around Expert Elo, every single team that you face is just a sweaty team, right? It's like, oh, we gotta get Legend, we gotta get Legend. That's how it goes, right? But then you face off against Legend players sometimes who've tanked down to your Elo. They're running some interesting Pokemon, and at this stage in the season you do see a lot of this around 3000 Elo, just less common Pokemon like Alola Mola. Obviously that player he was facing is a very good battler. They've managed to stay around that Elo with very, very spicy picks. But hopping into the next one, we have a Mawile in the lead, and the, what's his face in the swap? I'm the worst commentator ever, the Hakamoto. Guys, sign me up for Play Pokemon. The opponent comes into his Alola Momola, and he's got a what's his face in the back, and then he comes into the thing here. I would be a perfect Play Pokemon caster. The opponent absolutely shits his pants and throws the wrong move, and then they come into their own Whiscash. If I got onto Play Pokemon, I would get that stream banned 5 minutes flat, bro. Anyway, they come into their own Whiscash. Whiscash does seem to be very common in this meta. I don't know, this is awkward here, isn't it? Although we still have a very healthy Ninetales, we do outpace to this. Jai's very good with his counting here. He knows that he can throw just one before they get to the move. That will knock them out. Actually, we're just probably chilling here, maybe. We'd make it to the Psyshock. Psyshock, by the way, guys, it does more raw damage than Weather Ball, even though it's non-stab. Weather Ball is a much more efficient move, but if you can only get off one, go for Psyshock. Steelix, this is a great lead. Even though it's a Steel versus an Ice type, we just resist all of the fast move pressure. The opponent comes into Poly. They decide to shield it this time. That would come very close to knocking them out. And I wouldn't mind a shield here because it could be the Dynamic Punch. Yeah. I would actually like to see Shadow on Pop. I think Pop would be a lot better for Shadow. We can take a Dynamic Punch, but this is going to get a little bit hairy at this point. As you can see, that does heavy damage. We do have two very good answers to Steelix, and we do commit to a massive farm down. The opponent comes into Trevor. Trevor's going to get hit with the ice real quick. Bang. That does about 50%. He comes into Steelix. That doesn't really help him that much. You could just stay in here and just keep countering it for a minute, but we come straight into the Blue Steady Cash here. Around these parts, we like to call that curtains for the opponent. Yeah, it's just not a whole lot they can do there, unfortunately, for them. We're super happy with it. We're taking dubs. We're making our climb here. And is that a 4-1 or a 5? That's a 5-0. Okay, Jai. Shiny Pikachu Libre. Okay, Jai. Okay, I see you, Jai. You're just gonna put in a shiny Pikachu Libre and just say nothing about it. Cool, man. Okay, fair enough. By the way, can we just respect the fact that he's got 4.5 million dust? I get to 1 million, bro, and I just get antsy, bro. I can't wait to get something built. It's like, yo, who needs scrims? Who needs scrims? What can I build with this 500k dust? This is why I don't have any Master League Pokemon. I just spend my dust in crap, basically. But anyway, hopping into the next one, we make a very nice catch here. Will this be a Scald or a Mud Bomb here? Let's have a look. Scald. I think, you know, as a Whiscash there, you probably do go for a double Mud Bomb just for the pacing of it. They are, of course, horny for the debuff, but I think just for pacing, you want to go for the dollar move. We do make a very nice catch. The opponent comes into a Marowak. We've just got so much energy here. We can just basically look to get this super, super low. We definitely make it to the next Scald unless they throw the move right away. They do throw the move right away. We shield to get off the Scald. I do like this play, because then you can basically bring in the Whiscash and look to just destroy it, really. Bone Clubs and Shadow Bones aren't really too threatening to Whiscash, and yeah, we just let them farm us down here. I like that move because it lets us keep alignment. You could swap into Whiscash, but then you're locking your Whiscash into something that's potentially bad. The opponent goes for the Shadow Boner, they come into Walrein. See, this is the thing, right? We don't necessarily want to stay in here. We can get off 1 or 2 Mud Bombs, or potentially go for a catch here. The opponent's over farming, we go for a CMP tie, perfect counting. The Psyshock might just about not knock it out, and I think he realizes that. I think Jai no-shielded that, hoping it was going to be an Earthquake, but the opponent baited, so this is getting like a little bit awkward now, because the opponent will get a farm with Marowak, so this is kind of weird. You know, the moves will hurt the Marowak, so in a funny way, like the opponent baiting was actually better for them, in a funny way. They were trying just to basically get the shield off of us, but they've ended up just like accidentally giving themselves more farm, which is what we were trying to avoid by doing that in the first place. So it kind of worked out awkward. In comes Whiscash, this one Mudshot should knock it out, and that's going to be good games well played anyway. So yeah, when you're in a situation like that, you don't want to feed the opponents a bunch of energy, right? Because if we take the Walrein straight out, we're only throwing resisted damage onto it. So that means that the opponent's going to get just a big fire spin down. At that point, we've seen that the Whiscash did make a move at the end, so that would have basically lost the match for us. They get off 2 Bone Clubs with it, we're forced to shield one of them, and then the opponent gets off a Mud Bomb with the Whiscash. So very, very good thinking by Jai there, just to undercharge at the very end. He realised at the last second, like, oh wait, hang on a second, I'm going to feed this Marowak a bunch of energy, I don't want to do that. Unfortunately, the opponent made it awkward by baiting, but it worked out very well in the end. We shield up some dynamic punches here, we're going to get rid of this Medicham, and the opponent comes into Basti. This is, yeah, the Jason team, it's ABA Fighter with Poliwrath in the back. We go for the Icy Wind right away, which I think it tends to be the correct way to play the Poliwrath mirror, I think, because it allows you to survive any move pretty comfortably. I think when you get debuffed the first time, if you're the opponent, you go for Scald. Basically here, I think that's the right way for them to respond to the Icy Wind. This has always been like a very funny and annoying mirror in a way, but as you can see, like, yeah, the Icy Winds just kind of get the job done here. We probably do survive this and probably do get the counter down, which is good, and Whiscash is just going to absolutely obliterate the Basti, so GG's well played. I'm sure the opponent top left here. That's a team by Jason, pretty well known player. He basically stays in with anything with Medicham more or less, even if it's kind of bad. Even if it's like Charm or something, throws whatever energy he can get off, comes in with the Bastiodon to clean whatever that is up, and then tries to sweep with the Poliwrath. In the next battle here, we have Daddy Gulurk. Is this in the lead, or did the opponent swap? Sorry, I'm not quite fully paying attention here. Well, the looks of things, the opponent's staying in to play this out. This match gets pretty close, they come into their own Ninetales, and I'm assuming we probably meet this with Poliwrath. The Gulurk Ninetales core is a core that I used at the very beginning. It's a very, very strong core in this cup. We win the CMP tie against the opponent. The opponent will need to go for a Psyshock to knock us out here. Or actually no, they can go for Weather Ball to be fair at this point. But the Ninetales is just so low at this stage. They're not really going to get off a bunch of energy here. They may get off a Psyshock still. Yeah, I think they will get the Psyshock off here. We're going to no shield because of course the opponent still has Gulurk. It is actually just a Weather Ball, so the opponent must not have quite made it. The opponent comes back into Gulurk. Can we just counter this the whole way down? Double resisted counter down. I like this, just Icy Wind the last Pokemon. The opponent should swap here just to not allow that to happen. Unless they're switch locked. I don't think they were. They come into Clefable. We're just going to Icy Wind this into Oblivion. And by the time we debuff this twice, Whiscash will have no problems with it. The opponent might even have to consider shielding this move. They go for the move as to not get debuffed twice. And yeah, basically we build up to 2 Mud Bombs. We can easily tank him in Blast here at this point. That's going to be good games well played. I've seen some of these on Swift Meteor Mash in this cup, which is quite interesting. They do go for Min Blast. That doesn't quite do enough. Can we survive a Swift here? This might be a CMP tie for a Swift. I think we're going to have to take a Swift here to win this. Oh no, we just IPS by 1, that's perfect. I was getting very, very close actually. I thought that was just complete game over, but it actually was getting close. Yeah, good games to that opponent there. And hopping into the next one, we have a Pachirisu in the lead. A very, very spicy one. We're sort of ABA weak to this Pokemon. This Pokemon doesn't have the greatest pacing in the world. Jai does, I think, 7 in throw here for good timing. Pachirisu has very respectable bulk, that does nothing. This thing is super bulky, look at this little squirrel taking Weather Balls like it's nothing. Pachirisu is a very cool Pokemon. I do feel as though it needs like a coverage move or something. If you were to give this thing like Grass Knot or something, this could be a pretty insane Pokemon. I'm not sure how this match plays out, I think we make it to 2 moves here. So I assume we win the Zero Shield scenario. Yeah, we definitely do. We just throw the move right away. And look to get rid of this thing. Bang, yep, the opponent lets it through. And they come into an Ursaring. Poliwrath time, bang, 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 bang. The opponent's staying in to get off a close combat or a Swift here. This will look to do pretty heavy damage no matter what they throw. And yep, GG's. I'm assuming they have like just double normal in the back or something else that's weak to the Poliwrath. So good games there. Shadow Ursaring is a very underrated Pokemon, I think. Whenever you sim the cops and stuff like that, you'll see that whenever you do your own custom sims, this Pokemon comes up really high. For whatever reason though, whatever way the PvPoke rankings are weighted, Shadow Ursaring just hasn't really come up in a lot of rankings. But I think this is a really underrated Pokemon that not a lot of people are using, because of course, Shadow Ursaring, it was in rotation a while ago, but with Buff Swift, that Pokemon is definitely pretty cool. Anyway guys, they come into Licky Licky. This is just, yeah, rough for the opponent. I think it's 6 for the Solar Beam. Did the opponent do 6 here? If not, we just take the move. Shadow Ball doesn't do that much damage. I like the idea of shielding once and farming the whole way down here, which I think is what Jai's going to go for. The opponent might go for a Body Slam bait, but they do full send the Shadow Ball, thinking that we may want to get a farm down or something. In comes the Whimsicott. This is looking really rough for the opponent. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a fire type in the back, or perhaps could be like Miltank, right? Roll Hole. This is starting to smell a little bit Roll Hole-y here. If it is Roll Hole, our Whiscash is just going to cook the back line. So we'll see what the opponent comes into. Basically, you need 2 answers to fire with a Whimsicott lead. They actually come into a Stunfisk, which is somewhat of an answer to fire, but it's not an answer to Daddy Whiscash. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed the video. Once again, big thank you, big shout out to Jai, he gets a big 5-0 here. He's showcasing the battles here around the Legend Push Elo, but he's actually went on with this team and just absolutely cooked. So I highly recommend trying it out. Big thank you, big shout out to Jai, really appreciate the battle submission, and I hope everybody enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.